This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutastrophe welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. October 17th, 1979, the Pittsburgh Pirates completed a shocking series. They were down 3-1 and became the fourth team to get a 3-1 deficit, but still win the World Series. It's 1979. The Pittsburgh Pirates, 98 wins against the Baltimore Orioles, 102 wins. Both teams met in the 1971 World Series, which was an instant classic because of Roberto Clemente's fantastic postseason, and also because it was the first time a night game was held in the World Series. Anyhow, so the Pirates were in for it. The funny thing is, of that 71 team, Pittsburgh still had 6 players: Willie Storjo, Rennie Stennett, Frank Tavares, Bruce Kyson, Doc Ellis, and Manny Sanguillen were still around. Jim Palmer, Marc Belanger were the only 2 Baltimore players left from that 71 matchup, but Earl Weaver was still the manager. Grant Jackson ironically pitched for Baltimore in 71, but played for Pittsburgh in 79. In the old days, between 1969, I can't remember, 1973 and 1988, I guess, there was a rule that every odd-numbered year, the designated hitter would be wiped out, which meant that no DH, even in Baltimore, the American League home, and all that. It actually was good news, bad news for Baltimore. The good news was that Tim Stoddard, who used to play for NC State in the basketball team that won the 74 NCAA title, and a good pitcher for the Padres more so than not, actually got a major league hit and an RBI in Game 4. It actually neutralized Lee May, who was a pretty good designated hitter for Baltimore, and he couldn't come up to bat except for in pinch hitting operations. Anyway, what was crazy about this Pittsburgh 7-game series against Baltimore that ended on October 17th was that Pittsburgh was the last team to win Game 7 on the road until the Giants did it in 2014. And Pittsburgh became the 3rd city to win the Super Bowl and the World Series in the same calendar year. New York did it with the Jets and Mets in 69. Baltimore did it in 1970 with the Orioles and Colts. Well, that's the same season / calendar year, I should say. New York in 1980, well, that happened. But in 1986, New York did it again with the Mets and Giants. And Boston did it in 2004 and 2018 with the Red Sox-Patriots double. But it doesn't matter. So anyway, Baltimore was looking for revenge. In 1971, they had a 2-0 series lead against the Pirates, but blew it. So anyway, with only 2 players left from the 71 roster, Baltimore had to rebuild. But a young 23-year-old Eddie Murray was stable at first base. Ken Singleton, who Baltimore poached from the Expos in the alongside Mike Torres in the trade that sent Dave McNally to Montreal, was huge. 35 home runs on 111 RBIs. Al Bunbury was a speedster in center field. Gary Ronicky and Deb DeSensis also had some power. And they had some good pitching staff that was complemented by captain and catcher Rick Dempsey. Mike Flanagan would win the 79 AL Cy Young with a 23-9 mark, alongside Scott McGregor, Steve Stone, yes, that's Steve Stone, and Jim Palmer. The bullpen looked good with Don Stanhouse and Tippy Martinez helping out with that. Blue Jays fans would groan because in 1983, Tippy had the 3 pickoff plays in that famous game against the Jays that actually ruined the Jays' chances to win the division. And Baltimore won the AL East rather easily. Baltimore would sweep the California Angels in the ALCS, helped out by John Lowenstein's pinch hit home run in Game 1 of the LCS to win. So anyway, Pittsburgh struggled and had to go to the final week of the season to win the NL East. Unfortunately for Canadian baseball fans like myself, it would be bad because the Expos were that second place team. So anyway, it doesn't matter. So Pittsburgh just couldn't ahead of Montreal. Montreal had destiny in their hands. But anyway, Pittsburgh adopted the "We Are Family" philosophy, kind of like Sister Sledge's song. The Pirates ended up getting Tim Foley and Bill Madlock in trades, and that helped out a lot. Roberto Clemente inspired the 71 team, but the 79 team was inspired by Pops, aka Willie Stargell, who was 38 at that time, and he still did pretty good. He had a good demeanor and all that. The Pirates would, of course, have those weird uniforms. They would be wearing black tops or yellow tops or white tops. They had, like, what, 60 different combinations, allegedly? Man, that was just creepy. The Pirates would crush the Cincinnati Reds in the LCS. Anyway, the Pirates had Omar Moreno, who was a good stolen base guy. Dave the Cobra Parker, who ended up winning the regular season MVP. No, sorry, he didn't. Sorry, that wasn't him. And anyway, Bill Madlock. So, yeah, the Pirates looked good. They didn't really have any major starters except for John Candelario. Ken Turkfield put up 31 saves out of the bullpen. So anyway, Game 1 in Baltimore saw the Baltimore Orioles score 5 runs in the first inning. They actually were supposed to play October 9th, but because of a mix of rain and snow, the game was postponed. In fact, the game temperature at 5 Celsius or 41 Fahrenheit was the coldest until Game 4 of the 97 World Series. And a steady rain fell throughout the contest. They couldn't delay it again. Baltimore put up 5 runs off of Bruce Kyson. Thanks to Phil Gardner, yes, him, the future MLB manager, making 2 throwing errors. And then Doug DeCensis went deep to make it 5-0. The Pirates did score 4 runs, but it fell short. So Mike Flanagan was the hero against Kyson. Game 2 saw the Pirates strike first with a pair of runs. It went to the 9th inning, in which Manny Sanguillen pinch hit for Don Robinson and hit a single to score Ed Ott. Ken Turkfield got the save as Don Robinson was the winner. Don Stanhouse was the loser. Game 3 the following night in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had a 3-0 lead but choked it thanks to 5 runs in the fourth off of John Candelaria. Thanks to a bases clearing triple by Kiko Garcia. So he did his job. Scott McGregor was the hero. Baltimore was up 2-1. And then Saturday afternoon in Pittsburgh, the Pirates were up 6-3 through 7 innings, and it looked good for them. Thanks to Stargell's leadoff home run in the 2nd inning, and then a 2-run double by Ed Ott. Dennis Martinez was sent to the bench. Jim Bibby was on the mound for Pittsburgh, if you must know. But in the 8th inning, with the bases loaded, Chuck Tanner sent in his closer Turkfield to face Gary Reineke. Earl Weaver, that is, would actually decide to pinch hit for Reineke with John Lowenstein, the hero of the ALCS Game 1. And he hit a 2-run double. After a walk loaded the bases again, Terry Crowley came in to the game to pinch hit for Dave Skaggs. Crowley hit a 2-run double, and the Orioles didn't leave the lead. Well, Stoddard had to bat because Weaver had no pinch hitters. He had an RBI single. So Tim Stoddard was the hero. He got the win. Turkfield the loss. So it looked bad. So Game 5 was Sunday afternoon at 4:30. Why did it have 4:30? I don't know. Because, the NFL was still playing, but, ABC doesn't have Sunday afternoon football. But it doesn't matter. Well, Bill Mazeroski threw out the first pitch in Game 5, and unfortunately, manager Chuck Tanner would lose his mom the morning of Game 5. Howard Cosell would mention that during the telecast for ABC. So anyway, Pittsburgh had Bert Blyleven come in against Mike Flanagan. Well, Blyleven came in because Kyson was injured. Well, actually, no. It was Jim Rooker who was the starter. I thought it was Blyleven because I know he was a starter. Yeah, so Rooker gave Tanner 5 good innings and held the Orioles in check. In the 6th inning, the Pirate bats came alive. Willie Stargell had a sac fly and Bill Madlock RBI single. Thanks to a 2-run single by Tim Foley, the Pirates crushed the Orioles 7-1. Phylum and the hero, Mike Flanagan, the loss. And this, to date, is the last time the World Series was held in Pittsburgh. So the Pirates haven't been to the World Series in 43 years. So Game 6, after an off day, of course. The Orioles were looking good. Jim Palmer would be on the mound against John Candelaria. They pounded Candelaria last time. Unfortunately, though, it was unexpected, as through 6 innings, there was no score. In the 7th, Dave Parker hit an RBI single, and then Stargell had a sac fly. Thanks to a couple more small ball moments, Pittsburgh won 4-0. But Howard Cosell, after the game, was actually surrounded and attacked by angry Oriole fans, so he had to have private security for Game 7. Which leads us to Game 7. And the Pirates were down 1-0 in the 5th, but then Willie Stargell hit a towering shot to right field off of Scott McGregor. McGregor looked good and all that, but it didn't work. In the 9th, Omar Moreno hit an RBI single, and Dave Parker would be hit by a pitch. Then Bill Robinson. That meant Moreno came in. Weaver had to make many pitching changes in the 9th to try to keep it out of reach. Baltimore's only run was Rich Dower's home run. Eddie Murray unexpectedly went 0 for 21 after Game 2, which was amazing. Well, he had the bases loaded in the 8th inning, but he flew out to Parker. Funny thing is, after that Game 4 outburst, the Orioles would score 2 runs in the final 27 innings, which is amazing. Grant Jackson was the winner after Don Robinson and Jim Bibby pitched and all that. U.S. President Carter made an appearance in Game 7, throwing out the first pitch, and made the visit to the Pittsburgh clubhouse. So the Pirates, this was the last time, other than the 2013 wildcard game, that they won a playoff game. Of the postseason series. Okay, my fault. So anyway, Pittsburgh outscored Baltimore 32-26. 5 Pirates had 10 or more hits, a World Series record. Leading the way were Willie Stargell and Phil Gardner with 12. Who knew Phil Gardner was a good hitter? Now, of course, that pales in comparison to Roberto Clemente's 14 hits in 1971, but still, doesn't matter. Bill Matlock only had 9. He was close. So anyway, the funny thing was that with the uniforms, Pittsburgh and Baltimore used multiple ones. Pittsburgh went with a gold cap, black jersey, gold pants in games 1 and 5. Games 2, 6, and 7 were a black cap, gold jersey, and black pants. They wore their black cap with solid white pinstripes for Game 3, and then in Game 4, it was their solid gold uniform with the black cap. The Orioles would also wear 3 different combinations. They always wore a white cap, but they would wear their orange jerseys for 1 and 7, their white jerseys for 2 and 6, and their gray jerseys for 3, 4, 5, because of the road team. In fact, this was the first time on national radio that the play-by-play announcers were not part of the participating team's announcers, which meant Pittsburgh and Baltimore didn't have their guys, their radio announcers in. ABC would televise this with Keith Jackson and Al Michaels splitting play-by-play duties. Keith Jackson would do the games in Baltimore. Pittsburgh's games were handled by Al Michaels, with Howard Cosell and Don Drysdale being commentators. Those 2. So yeah, the Pittsburgh Pirates were great and became the 4th team to come back from 3-1 down. Like their predecessors, the 1925 Pittsburgh Pirates, the 1958 Yankees, which I did it on this day about, and the 1968 Detroit Tigers, which I did about that game last year. If I did that game last year, I don't think I did. Yeah, no, I didn't. That's weird. Okay, well, I screwed up. I thought that I did with that triple, or did I? Oh no, I did. That was October 10th last year. I did the Kurt Flood thing about his misplay. But yeah, it's just what it is. 79 World Series, pretty good. But it wouldn't be the last time that a 3-1 deficit happened in the World Series. 85 and 2016. It happened. So believe it. Anyway, I'm Jeff. I'm going to do.